Right. Call the meeting for November 10th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Beers? Here. Mr. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Chauncey?
Here.
Mrs. Kroll? Here. Pastor Custard?
Here.
Mr. Johnston?
Here.
Mr. Staborski?
Here.
Mr. Valesky?
Here. Right. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
This time, we're going to enter into the committee of the whole. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this very snowy evening out there. It's not very pleasant out, so thank you for being here. We'll begin with our student representatives. Yes?
Sagertown has a different one than this school.
Oh, they do?
It's, sorry, I don't remember your first name. Cameron?
Cameron, yeah. All right. Ella Ella's here. Good morning. Good evening, I guess. Not good morning, right? It is dark out.
Good evening. I'm Ella Morant, your student representative for Cambridge Springs. At last month's board meeting, the Latin honor system was discussed. Cambridge Springs students think implementing this system would be a good decision. You can use this system starting this year to honor all students who have gotten good grades while also being able to eventually honor the valedictorian and salutatorian as well. Personally, my GPA is over a 4.0, yet I'm still only third in my class. Only honoring valedictorian and salutatorian leaves out so many students who also have a high GPA, like myself, just not the highest. It's easy to say that valedictorian and salutatorian is the way it's always been, and if you have that title, you had to work for it. But what you miss is the circumstances within that, because in some cases, there are students who put out their best effort and study endlessly, yet can never reach the top. Implementing the Latin honor system will put motivation back into the school. For so many students, they give up because they know they won't ever get to first when they are competing against gifted students. With the Latin honor system, they would continue to try in school if they knew they could get recognized by their own personal best effort. Now for what's been happening in Cambridge Springs. Last Friday, students woke up bright and early, but more like dark and early, to show support for Cambridge Springs to be featured on Erie News Now, who is doing a segment for our school, which was one of the 4 finalists in How Cool Was Your School? Remember to vote for us daily. The school has been trying to collect food and donations to box food in order to feed 60 families in need within the Cambridge area. We started this year early, but it didn't seem to help as we haven't gotten many donations yet. This Friday, 10th and 11th graders in upper class math will be traveling to Penn State Bearing for Women in Engineering. Also this Friday, Leadership Council will be hosting a Veterans Day breakfast, which will be followed by the Veterans Day Assembly hosted by Will Marceau. If you have served in the military, I encourage you to go to the breakfast on Friday at 8 a.m. The food is always delicious, and thank you for your service. Also, happy birthday to the Marines today. Sadly, last Friday, the Devils football team finished their season with the loss in second round of playoffs against Wilmington. But winter sports are starting up very soon, so the students are looking forward to the upcoming season. Please remember to keep up with Cambridge on all social media platforms and stay tuned. Thank you.
Is Maplewood here? Logan here? So Sagertown, Cameron, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Hi, my name is Cameron Hillicle, and I'm the Sagertown High School student representative tonight. So I'm going to talk about some events that we've been doing at the high school. Recently, we filled up a Panther 200 board, and the students who turned in our pause tickets were rewarded for the good behavior that they've shown over the last quarter. Some prizes included an NFL football, gift cards, candy, and a bunch of other prizes. We had a quarterly celebration during WIN last week, so students participated and signed up for STEM, Halloween-themed STEM activities that they got to choose from. So that was really successful. We are continuing our student-led tutoring program during WIN every Thursday. It's held in Miss Peters' room, and we've had a lot of students that have been going to that. It's hosted by our Math and Science Club, so that's been successful. Our team of tech interns have put together a video showing students how to be prepared for the class and for the school day. So that was shown to students last week as well, so we got really positive feedback on that. Last Friday, Key Club and Student Council put on the junior high fall ball. So that was a dance that was held, and it was a strong success, and we had a good turnout for junior high students. And also, currently we have the food drive going on, which is a big part of our Panther Cup grade, reward system. So whoever wins that will get points that'll go towards our incentive at the end of the year. And we have a great participation, and it runs through this week. So yeah. That's what I have. That's what's been going on at Secretary High School.
Well, thank you for the update. We appreciate it. And I know we'll have another night to honor our athletes, but Cameron did participate at the PIAA State Championships in cross country. So since she's here tonight, job well done. At this point in time, our PAEA representative, Debbie Miller.
Can you hear me if I just stand back here? Okay. Good evening, members of the board, administration, students, community members, and esteemed colleagues. As we move into November, a month traditionally focused on gratitude, I speak to you tonight on behalf of the PENNCREST Area Education Association to express our sincere appreciation and reaffirm our commitment to a partnership. First and foremost, we are thankful for the ability to work together with this board and the administration. In any school year, we face challenges, but this year what stands out is not the presence of problems, but the spirit in which we approach them. We appreciate the open door, the willingness of the administration to meet with the union leadership and individual teachers to discuss issues before they escalate. The shared goal, the mutual recognition that every decision we make must ultimately serve the best interest of our students. And specifically, we want to recognize the recent successful collaboration on schedule changes. The effort to restructure our school day to better meet the needs of all students and offer a wider curriculum was a complex undertaking. We are grateful for the way the district involved teachers at every stage, listened to our feedback on implementation challenges, and worked alongside us to create a schedule that is both educationally robust and manageable for our staff. Our teachers have been tasked with finding an answer to the apathy. And answer they have arrived at pretty good. Teachers are sharing their passions with the students and allowing new avenues and relationships to be forged. On Thursdays, you might see them teaching fly fishing or sign language, which is collaboration even with our own deaf and hard of hearing students as well. Or even a t-shirt graphic design, and there's more. In my own Readers Theater group, I have noted that a student who struggled to even attend school has not missed a single Thursday yet. This is a shining example of a true partnership in action. Or we could talk about the ongoing challenges of school safety. We have felt heard by this board and the administration on our concerns to make our school a safe place, with no tolerance for bullying or threats of violence. The collaboration on the cell phone policy and the student handbook change to eliminating backpacks in the classroom has been advantageous to our students and staff's security. This collaborative spirit is the foundation upon which great schools are built. We look forward to continuing this constructive dialogue as we tackle future issues such as the transition of a new board, class size, the budget process, or staffing needs. Second, we want to celebrate and express deep gratitude for the unique and invaluable role of our smaller schools within this district. While some would argue that efficiency often favors size, our teachers know the profound advantages of smaller classes. Deeper connections. Our students are not just numbers. They're individuals with names, stories, and specific needs. In a small school, teachers can more easily know every student, leading to a true sense of belonging and community. Targeted support. We are better equipped to identify and implement personalized interventions, helping students who are struggling to catch up and providing enrichment for those who are excelling. And stronger community bonds. The school-to-home connection is vital. Our small school settings naturally foster closer, more meaningful relationships with parents and guardians, turning them into true educational partners. Our small schools are not merely buildings. They're vibrant, nurturing hubs of their respective communities that consistently deliver high-quality, personalized education. We urge the board to continue supporting policies and resources and allocating funds that recognize and preserve the unique power and strength of these smaller environments. In closing, this November, the teachers of PENNCREST are grateful for the opportunity to shape the lives of our future leaders, and grateful for a system that allows us to work with the board and the administration toward common solutions like the recent success in our schedules and school safety. Thank you for your time and your commitment and your continued partnership in making PENNCREST a place where both students and staff can thrive.
I'm going to turn this over, this next part. We have our ADs here. There's all three here tonight. Sean and Justin are here. So I'm going to turn this, we're going to talk a little bit about soccer in the district. You guys have been putting together, so you can come up and introduce yourselves and state Larry, what school? Is he doing all the talking?
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Support from the rear.
You want me to sell you something? No. So my name is Sean Rhodes. First off, I want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to speak. The three of us, Justin, Chris, and I, along with some other people, have kind of talked a little bit. So we've kind of come up with some ideas. So basically, for those that don't know me, my name is Sean Rhodes. I'm the current AD at Maplewood. While this is the first year as the primary AD at Maplewood, I have been the assistant for the last 4 years, while also coaching boys basketball for 4 years and girls for the last 3. So I'm here tonight really to speak on a professional capacity as the AD and a former coach that boldly states that we as a district can no longer continue to field these two separate soccer programs. One being at Maplewood, the other being a cooperative agreement between Cambridge and Sagertown. For the past several seasons, I've witnessed these skeleton-type crew rosters in which both squads frequently field minimum or less than minimum number of players to compete. While 11 girls are what is considered to be the standard, I've seen numbers as low as 7 or 8 on the field due to injury, illness, or whatever the other variable is. And while starting a game with less than 11 is not uncommon for our two squads, the opponent that we play is not required to do such. So that's them. If they choose to do it, they're actually being very nice. So while, like I said, while most schools, it shouldn't penalize our own kids or their kids, honestly, to have to sit to accommodate our number problem. I often witness girls playing hurt in hopes just to help their teammates out, just to get by. The biggest thing is the lack of numbers is less than ideal for a myriad of reasons, and I'll briefly touch on a few. The main reason to me is safety. It's not safe at all for these girls to be subjected to the less than ideal conditions that exist with minimal numbers. The field of play is large, and regardless of conditioning, substitutes are certainly necessary. While I can't speak for Sagertown Cambridge, I can accurately state that the Maplewood team suffered multiple injuries down the stretch of the season, and even if selected for postseason participation, we would have fielded a less than full roster, and that's not only one, not competitive, but it's not safe either. To ask 8 or 9 kids to do what 11 should be doing is not safe. Now, in the beginning of the season, Maplewood started with 13 girls, so that was a better number than we've had in the past, so it was actually a little promising, but due to a couple concussions, a broken leg, and then I think there was illness, we would have, like I said, going into the postseason would have started it with 9 girls. Now, I will say the co-op of the two programs by no means guarantees a larger roster, but I think it gives the opportunity for such. currently right now, I mean, it's no secret. I mean, I've been at Maplewood for quite a while. I mean, volleyball is the thing out there, especially in the fall. It's hard to draw kids off of that. Now this year, like I said, we were able to get some more girls, so that was good. The next reason I believe the co-op is necessary is to give these student athletes the best possible chance to compete. These girls shouldn't be traveling to a game just hoping to complete a 90-minute contest, to compete in the 90-minute contest, but knowing that they can compete at a level that they're familiar with seeing these other schools do. That mindset is tough to maintain, knowing you're going into that game with less than ideal numbers. Is the co-op a guarantee of larger numbers? No, but by doing such, it shows that our district is trying to give these student athletes the best chance. Now, I do know that while I'm aware that combining these programs may be frowned on upon individual communities, these girls are being dealt an injustice by not doing what's right. The boys currently run a program with all 3 schools together that operates out of Sagertown here. And I consistently hear our athletes just saying how defeated they feel just even going to a game, because they know a lot of times what they're getting in. With all that said, I've talked with Justin, Chris, the AD here at Sagertown, and we believe that we should base the program at Maplewood simply due to that the boys are here and not having to juggle field time for practices, games, etc. I can personally attest to the trials of juggling field, gym time, stuff like that. So it doesn't make it easier on me moving it out there, because then I'm now dealing with the co-op side of it and transportation and things like that. But I think it's what gives the girls the best opportunity across the board. I also know that we just received new uniforms last year, and I know we would have more than enough to probably fill, to adequately give them uniforms and such. It's not a secret. This could present some logistical problems. This district's big. I mean, it's no secret. We've talked about this. But the 3 of us as ADs, we work really hard to make sure everything works despite the challenges with this kind of merger. The next step in the process, should this happen, we would have to apply for a cooperative agreement with the PIAA. The new parameters for PIAA were just released on Friday, so numbers-wise, it could change our classification. We don't know that yet. I mean, until we sit down and do the final collaboration, we don't know what that'll be. But regardless of where that is, I just feel like this gives our girls the best opportunity to compete and, and not just to do something just to do it. I mean, I really think this year, I can speak for Maplewood. I mean, they made great strides this year. Their numbers, the games that last year were 15-0 were maybe 3-0 this year, a lot more competitive. So I think things are going in the right direction. But other than that, so we did have an initial cutoff date for a cooperative agreement for October 1st. Obviously, we don't meet that date. What that would do is then that they would decide if you don't jump a classification, you'd be postseason eligible. If you do jump a classification, they may render you not eligible for postseason. But at this point, we're not getting there anyway under the current situation. So at least if we do this, it gives not only the girls in the present time coming up, but the future a chance to really, put their best foot forward. So other than that, that's where I'm at. Like I said, Justin and I and Chris have talked in depth about this, and we feel something's due at some point. Obviously, there's more discussion to be had. So again, I'm open to any questions, should anybody have them. My ADs, administrators, we've kind of talked about this a little bit. So we're definitely not going into it blind. I mean, I've done some homework on it, and I've talked to other schools that have done it just to see what they might not necessarily have the logistical size that we do, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. So I just want to say thank you for letting me speak, and hopefully we can move forward one way or the other. So thank you.
Questions?
Yeah,
Anybody?
I have
Go
a
ahead.
few,
Go
actually.
ahead.
So I think this is anticipated. I know the club already is combined for
Right.
the younger girls.
Yeah.
They've been playing together for years. I've coached them personally.
Right.
Maplewood, Sagertown, and Cambridge girls. The cutoff I thought was January.
No, so
That was one of my questions.
no, so the cutoff you can apply for that, but if it changes your classification, October 1st is that
Okay.
that date.
Soccer, are they moving to 6 classifications next year?
Yes, I believe it is going to 6, because I know volleyball is going to 6. I'd have to look at it, but I think it is going to 6.
I would look into that before we know whether we're gonna have to forfeit postseason play. Whether
Yeah, oh,
it's-
absolutely,
yeah.
we're definitely gonna look into that, and even if we do this, we definitely plan to, try to appeal the process.
Yeah, we would
Yeah.
petition that through if we could. The classification, the parameters actually just got released on Friday
Okay.
for the sports. And what they do is, for those that don't know, what they do is, so just hypothetically, if Maplewood was the host school, I know we had 98 girls, 9 through 11. So they would take our 98 and they would take 50% of Sagertown, 50% of Cambridge, wherever that total puts you, that's where you land on classification. So,
And we were already in the low end of that single classification.
yeah, correct.
Second thing, you're right with the numbers. Concussions, that's most prevalent in
Yep.
girls is soccer, and concussion protocol can keep them out for weeks. I think that was probably
Yeah,
both
it does.
teams. Question about the field though, they're already at Sagertown, girls and boys, correct?
Yeah, I believe,
I would rather
so.
you guys maintain, because I've had a lot of complaints of one field being maintained properly. I don't see why we would divide them into two fields.
Well, we already have one at Maplewood, so it's not an additional maintenance. I mean, we already
Mowing and,
do it. You do it now.
if I could finish, they already have one space in Sagertown where the girls and the boys both play, and we have a hard enough time maintaining that field for the girls and boys. So I don't see why we would add we already have it, correct. We're stretched thin as it is. If you talk to the maintenance, they can barely get down there. I've coached on that field, the grass gets this tall. It makes sense to me to put them on one space and maintain one really good space for the soccer programs, because you're right, they're both successful. They fielded 7-8 girls, 7-8, and they're still in postseason play. Elevate the space, I believe, is what Mr. Ford used as a phrase. I don't see, we maintain them, yes. Do we maintain them properly? I don't think we do, and that's my own eyes. It's my own eyes, I'm not saying anything with the maintenance, we just are thin. And I think putting them in one space, you gotta practice, you got a game space, you have your shed, you have scoreboard, everything's there, you have parking. To me, it doesn't make sense to continue to use a space when we don't need it. That was my question to you, because I've seen the field firsthand.
Well, Maplewood, actually, I can speak, this year, I've never seen it as good as this as good as it ever has been. I mean, Nick has done a fantastic job with Richard through them. I mean, we've worked together. I personally went over and redid the dugouts myself on my time, on my dime, fixed everything because I wanted it to give them the best opportunity, make it look good. And I get what you're saying. I definitely understand that.
Yeah, if we invest into one space, time, energy, effort into one space, as opposed to having two mediocre spaces. That was my question. But I would like to appeal that if we
Yeah, we certainly
This
would.
is just the initial phase, we're not positive how it's going to turn out. We just wanted to present this to you because in the end, it may sound like we're trying to take things away, but we're trying to ensure that girls continue to have this opportunity.
Honestly, I
to
just
circle
want
back, I think the
And
community
end up with
anticipating
6 or 7 kids in the team, and now you miss half a season.
Yeah.
Where if we do this, now the girls continue to have that opportunity to play. Is it, would I like to say we're all gonna stay where we are and everything's gonna be great? Maybe in time it would have, but at this point in time, over the past couple of years, what we've seen, where we've seen the teams act and their numbers, this seems like the next logical place.
Yeah,
We
what was the
considered
numbers again?
thoughts of
Maplewood
this.
had-
So Maplewood, we just did ours. I think I know Maplewood was at 98 girls, 9 through 11. I think Cambridge was at 91 or 92.
92, and I think
Sagertown was 94. So that changes some things for volleyball too, because
Yes.
now they're going to 6 classes. I know Maplewood is jumping up because of 94 was actually the cutoff. I mean, Sagertown was literally on the
You're
line.
talking volleyball?
Yeah, so soccer, I'd have to look at the exact number, honestly, because it was over. I mean, and I'm still obviously in volleyball season here. My phone blew up all weekend wanting to know where we were gonna end up and what was gonna happen.
Right, yeah.
And it wasn't so much, I think they anticipated us moving, they were wondering like, what are the other schools doing, so.
If we choose to play up as a classification, is that a 2-year cycle or is that a 1-year cycle?
2 cycles.
cycles.
So if we
And
choose
that's-
to play up, that's a 2-year cycle. We could choose to play up and allow postseason play.
Yes, that's
Right.
typically,
It's when you are saying you're lower, but you actually have more numbers.
Right.
And you can't play.
Correct, they would,
That would be
because what they're doing is
discussion.
they're obviously wanting people not to cook the numbers and then all of a sudden say, well, we're gonna play down or play here.
Correct.
So, but
really hate to see a team not be able to make postseason because of logistics at a state level. So anything, with the 6 classifications, it's
Right.
almost hard to anticipate. But circling back around, these girls have been playing together for,
Oh, yeah.
since they were 5 years old. They've anticipated this is gonna happen.
Yeah, and that's what and I've kind of gotten that, I talked to some of the girls out there that play that French Creek, I think that's what that is.
Yeah.
And so they were all, the ones that I've talked to about it, personally, they like the idea because obviously it gives them a chance to compete, and these girls have been playing together, as a group anyway. They're not, they're not separated, so.
Yeah.
So.
I worry, and I've always thought as we continue this, because I'd imagine these are conversations we'll have, is how are we gonna use facilities to make sure that everybody has equal opportunity?
Right.
Just because you have an opportunity, if you're in Crossingville and you gotta go to Maplewood, you don't have an opportunity,
Yeah, that's
and
my
vice
question.
versa.
Yeah, and that's the toughest part.
It sounds promising, but have there been any estimates of the transportation?
Well, right now, I know like for practice, we don't provide transportation, you know what I mean? So it's just would be games. I know Justin and I and Chris as well. We do a lot of juggling with the tech buses and the shuttles and stuff like that to get kids where they need to be and dismissals and such. So game time, no. I'll be honest with you, the biggest problem, the biggest problem you could have if they're both at one thing is the District 10, they set your schedule. You don't get to pick it. There'd be a team going early, and obviously you schedule your practices. Okay, well the boys are away, now the girls go. So there is that. That's the only reason I mentioned, because I know what it's like to juggle all that stuff. Most people don't know what that is and how it is. So that's why we kind of talked about that, to where you wouldn't necessarily have that. But now, is there a possibility that maybe some kids drop off? You're always going to have that. There's no guarantee. We could have girls not playing now under the current situation just because they know it's going to be tough. So
Right.
There's no guarantee with that. I'd love to have that crystal ball, but I don't have that. And that's why I said it doesn't necessarily guarantee us. It doesn't guarantee us anything. But I think going forward, I think it, at least from a district standpoint, says okay, the rest of most of our teams are adequately equipped, as far as numbers or staffed or whatever. So I just feel like this, going forward, from what I've seen, I've watched it for 4 years. This is my 5th year watching it. It's hard. I'll be honest with you, it's hard because I wouldn't want to run around that field. I can tell you that right now. And then when you're running around, when you're short-staffed, I've seen at Maplewood 7 girls, because that's the minimum you can go. That's the absolute minimum you can go. And I've seen them start with 8. And the other teams, like I said, they don't have to do it, but what they'll do is they'll get a lead, knowing they're good, then they'll back off, So they are nice enough, I guess, but, so.
It becomes kind of a disservice at some point.
That's
where
what-
You're allowing girls to play, but then when it's like, you're just an intramural team.
Correct.
You're like,
Yep.
hey, we got a player who's never played before, here you are in a varsity squad. So I agree
Yep.
with that all. Question about classification again for the ADs. Again, I'm really concerned about missing a postseason play for, I can only imagine with a senior, be able to make it but can't.
Right.
When would we have to decide to move up? Is that after we get assigned our class, or?
Well, so with the numbers coming out now, we could actually probably look at that and see where it would lay us. The biggest thing is we would have to know who's the host, because you're dividing. You know what I mean? The numbers are relatively close, so it probably wouldn't make much of a difference. But when you're only 2 or 3 over, whoever's hosting does make a difference. So because
I think in the end, actually, it's whatever it is. It's the biggest schools, not the host. The biggest school's the first number we count. So if Maplewood has 98, that's the initial number we count. Then it's half of Sagertown, half of Cambridge Springs. We can put it wherever we want it.
Right.
But in terms of numbers, it's the biggest school that's counted first, and then half of the.
Then it's 50% of the other two.
And then once we get classified, we can determine play up or not.
Well, and again, this is, that's one of those things.
I don't know, we couldn't, so if we bump up to, we end up in
We go to
double A, we
2A.
might get out. I don't know if then saying we'll play triple A to have the opportunity to play up.
That would be coaches to.
I don't know if.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
at that
a way
point,
to get
yeah.
around
And
it or
then,
not.
and again, that also becomes the next thing is how that goes if we do this going forward, because we obviously have 2 coaches at Maplewood, we have 2 at Cambridge, Sagertown, where we go from there, so.
Yeah, and again, the field is not centrally located. is most centrally located. It's when we start getting into buildings, I think is when we're gonna cause problems.
Yeah.
When we start these discussions for other sports, when they have to be in gyms and so forth. But
Correct.
those are big questions about
But
later on.
from what I understand though, Sean, when you do appeal anything, we would appeal to it. A lot of schools are they're getting a yes answer on these type of.
Correct,
Am
yeah.
Am I accurate on that?
Yeah, you're not, yeah, it's not wrong. I mean, it's just one of those things, when you do it, I mean, just like anything, you have no idea. I mean, one day they might say yes to 5 things, and the next day they might say no to 5 things, so it's just a,
The fact that we're in that transition time
Yes,
too,
that's-
in
Yeah.
between,
Yeah.
if this had been the beginning of this season, it might have been different.
Right.
But now, since we're in that transition time, going into the next year cycle, I think we've got a better opportunity.
but we also have to be careful how we approach that. Because if you approach that with them saying, well, we're looking at postseason eligibility, now they're looking at it from, we're doing this strictly from a competitive reason, and that's not, so we gotta be careful how we approach it. But I think, I mean, I'm sure we can figure it out, but yeah, like I said, so. I mean, there's definitely some variables to discuss, but we had talked about it, and we just want to get it out there now and get rolling. I mean, unfortunately, the season ended in October, and to have that discussion before that's over is just a huge distraction to
Yes,
the
it
kids
is.
and everybody else, so.
Yeah, Sean, what was the numbers? You said 13 girls for.
So Maplewood started with 13,
Yeah.
which, like I said, compared to prior years, I mean, I'd seen them start with no subs at all, or just short-handed to start with. So we started the year with 13, and then like I said, we ended the year we had 9 girls, and, yeah, I mean,
What did
obviously.
Sagertown and Cambridge?
Cambridge
They were
figured out,
about-
started at 12, we were down to 10, they got a couple more girls to come back out. But had we made the playoffs, we would have been going to the playoffs with.
We both would have been in the same
As
boat.
well, we
I
were
mean,
both.
Yeah, Cambridge had how many?
That was 12, the biggest the team got was 12, and that was Sagertown and Cambridge together.
Together?
That was the co-op team together.
Together.
yeah.
So we had, I believe there was 5 girls from Cambridge Springs and 6 or 7 from Sagertown.
But it's nothing to go to these games, or, I mean, obviously I don't go to most of the away games, but when you see Seneca come in and Mercyhurst Prep, and who are all in our region, to come in and they've got 10 girls, they got as many girls on the sideline as we do total, and that's not including the 11 they have playing. So right off the bat, psychologically, our girls, I don't care how good you are, our girls are like, uh-oh, because they know they're not getting a break. And like and the officials, like I said, they are good about being decent about it, like, hey, we'll throw a water break in here, we'll do this, but they can only do so much
Right.
legally, you know what I mean? Like, they have to keep their deal going too, so, but yeah, like I said, that's, numbers wise, I mean, most of the teams that, I won't say most, a lot of the teams we play have, what we had between 3 schools, combined numbers wise. It wasn't uncommon to see 20 plus on a sideline, and that's the part that's, like I said, that's the tough part for the girls. And it's the tough draw to get kids in, to pull them in, because, they're already facing an uphill battle. And now, especially, I think there's just so many things to do. Like, I'm not gonna play soccer, I'll go do this. I'm not gonna play basketball, I'm gonna go do it. Like, used to be you had 3 or 4 sports is what you had, and that's what you had. Now, I mean, there's a million different options, it feels like, and so to get kids in and then really invest is tough. So.
Yeah, I agree. Common misconception is that kids aren't participating. They're actually participating.
They're doing something
There's more
else.
things
Yeah.
to do, and then they
Yep.
choose one sport year round.
Yep.
And that hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you
Especially
get
smaller schools.
yeah. Well, that's the toughest part. I mean, and you're sharing kids. I mean, and and like I said, at Maplewood, I can speak for because it's volleyball. I mean, there's no secret of that program over there. Well, those kids aren't sharing. I mean, we had a couple kids. I think we were going to possibly maybe have a cross country run or two, but which those kind of can line up. I can see how those work because I know for the boys we have some that run cross country, play soccer, so that possibly can work in that dual sport type deal. But and that dual sport thing's tough too. I mean, there's nothing easy about that. Something suffers no matter how you do it. I mean,
I think on behalf of the board, we thank you for your efforts in supporting the girls and trying to.
yeah. I mean, as a coach, as long as I've coached, and Justin, I mean, and we've talked, and I said it's in our opinion, it's our job to give them the best opportunity, whatever that opportunity may be. I mean, if it's decided no, we're going to stay the way it is, then then we got to figure it out. But
Thinking
that's
outside the box.
yeah. I mean, we got a little bit of time, not a lot of time, but a little bit of time,
We
so.
wanted to bring it this month without having it on a vote.
Right.
Any questions that the board has, thinks through, if you get those to me, I'll get it to this.
Yeah, then
this
we'll
group.
definitely look into things further as far as
Then we'll bring it
playoff,
back
you know,
here
postseason, stuff like
Probably in
that.
December for a vote, okay? So that's, the plan here would be to bring that back in December for a vote, but we wanted to give a month to announce that ahead of time and discuss it. Thank you, Sean.
Yep, absolutely, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Justin. You didn't really do much, but I'll still. Sorry, Justin, I couldn't resist there. Just a couple other updates. Winter weather is upon us. So just as a reminder, we put some correspondence out. We say we, this is a superintendent's decision. We go to great lengths, we talk to the supervisors, we talk to the state. I think I have about 3 different weather forecasts. We talked to other superintendents. We started about 4:30 in the morning to really do a hard look at this. It's difficult in our district because we have 400 square miles and we have varying weather systems. So we try to make the best decision for the vast majority of the students, but it is upon us a little sooner than we had hoped, and hopefully it'll clear off here this evening. But know that we take all that, we get input from our bus companies also, and so I get all that information. The 3 superintendents in Crawford County, we try to work in unison because of Crawford Tech, and so we try to make the decision. I think there was one time last year that we had to cancel because things were so bad, and they didn't get that weather down a little bit further south and down. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up and share that it's upon us, and we're going to do the best we can with those decisions. I always say this too, parents always have the last right. If they feel they deem it unsafe, then they can keep their child at home, and we will not count that. We will excuse that absence, okay? Because there are times when we can't get a bus down certain roads, especially the dirt roads, some of the hills last year. We're not going to penalize kids. If the parents choose to bring them, then they also have to choose to come and get them at the end of the day, because we don't know if we can get that bus there at the end of the day. So, but we always give a parent that right. We want to be cognizant of driveways, of length. You know, there's some walks out there that kids have to go through too. So we try to be understanding and work with people on that. So just wanted to bring that up. We do have a transition going on in the board. I would be remiss if I didn't tell David, Teresa, Bob, thank you for your service. Being a board member is not always a popular decision. They're not getting paid. They're doing this to serve their communities, and I appreciate all 3 of them. I've worked with all 3 of them very well. Bob's been the president. He's probably had to listen to me a little more than the other ones, and but his insight and wisdom in that call every once in a while just to tell me hang in there. So I'm very appreciative, and just want to give them a thank you. State budget update. We have a motion you'll see under new business tonight for the board members. PSBA is the School Board Association. They have asked that we pass this provision, basically asking the legislative body to get a budget passed. And I would also encourage that the superintendents. I know I have an interview to do tomorrow with the local media. They're doing that with all the superintendents in the area. I don't know which ones they'll pick, trying to get our folks to, our representatives to get back and do that. We are, and I don't want to speak for Kristen, but we are in good shape through the end of the year. We feel like we're in good shape, but we are pulling out of our reserves to pay for things right now. That's a testament to the good planning of this board and former boards, and but it'll like January 1st there'll be some hard decisions making if we don't have a budget. we hear things like things are gonna go, and then all of a sudden, it's crickets. And so, that's kind of where we're at. Kristen, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I was gonna do it. in my
Okay, go
report,
ahead.
but I'll do it now. So, like Mr. Ford said, we still don't have a budget. The House and Senate are meeting again, November 17th through the 19th, so hopefully after that week, we'll have some good news. But like you said, we're okay. I was gonna touch on in my report, they did release the state gambling funds, so we received those in revenue on top of about $7 million in tax revenue last month. So the conjunction of both of those, we are in a good financial spot for the next couple months. But hopefully by then we'll have a budget. If not, we are gonna have to start, making some decisions on our next steps. But we are living on the reserves right now with our tax revenue that come in, so that's why our reserves is important to have those couple months in your reserves. So, but with our tax revenue right now, it's an okay time just because of all the revenue coming in. So, but again, like you said, in January we'll have to, if we don't have a budget yet, we'll have to start making some decisions. But hopefully after November, because they're supposed to be working on next year's budget in November. So hopefully they'll pass last year's and then start working on next year's. So hopefully next month I'll have a better update for you.
The other piece under new business, you'll see the PA 250, and that's the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, and Pennsylvania is also celebrating that. And Pennsylvania played a unique role in that history, and so they're trying to get all the counties involved with that. They've got some they're moving displays and bringing it into different communities to celebrate, and the main celebration will be next summer. But so that's again a resolution basically saying that we support this. I believe this was founded back in 2000. They had a commission started 2019, I believe. And then they've been working toward that, and then the federal government's working toward that, and it's going to be a big celebration. So, just a resolution that I wanted to talk to the board about here, also. The last thing you'll see on the agenda, under personnel, we are pulling the last two items under personnel to vote for them separate tonight, and so those are personnel contracts. Our CUSPA contract, Act 93. I'm going to let Kristen go through the highlights of those, and so you know what that is. So.
The Act 93 agreement is the administrator agreement, so that includes your principals and some central office employees. It'll be a 5-year agreement. We went ahead and removed some of the titles that were obsolete in there, like athletic director and student support services, added the titles of the director of facilities and grounds and transportation and the coordinator of curriculum. A couple changes, the learning curve will go from a 5-year curve to a 4-year curve, to 85%, 90%, 95%, and 100%. We'll increase the district opt-out for insurance. Again, if we can get more people off our insurance, that saves us, so we pay them to get them off of our healthcare insurance. The retirement sick day payout, that will increase. Again, that's only paid, that's a realized cost in the event that they retire in the FESR system. Otherwise, that cost is just a liability until realized. 10 vacation days, we're going to allow them to roll those over to sick days, with the caveat in there because we're requiring them to only use 10 days of vacation during the school year. So when students are in session, we need our administrators working and in the buildings to manage their buildings. So with that, if you can't use up all your days, we'll allow you to roll 10 rather than 5. Additional days off for holidays, just the day after Thanksgiving was never in their agreement, and then a couple days from Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. There's like 2 or 3 days in there depending on how it falls. We're going to add that to the agreement. And the salary increment will be 3% the first year and 1.5% every year after that. Again, we're finding people value time off more than raises, so we're hoping with the additional time at Christmas, That helps offset their lower raise amount. We're offering 2 healthcare plans. One will be at a % of premium for a PPO plan, and the other will be a high deductible plan where we'll have an HSA option, which the district will fund dollar for dollar up to $850 and $1,700 for a dependent. So those are the highlights of the Act 93. And the highlights of the PESPA contract, we're removing 4 positions from the PESPA contract. Those are your positions within central office. We have 4 employees that will be removed from the union. In exchange, healthcare, again, the same thing, % of premium for a PPO plan, added the high deductible plan with the dollar for dollar match up to $850 and $1,700. The retirement benefit for them, again, the sick day payout in retirement. It's only a realized liability if it's used and they retire in the PESER system and have at least 10 years with the district. Personal days, they currently have 3. We're going to add 2 days to give them a total of 5 personal days throughout the year. Vacation, we changed that schedule a little bit. We reduced it by a year or 2, so it's 1 to 5 years. They'll get 10 days, 6 to 12, 15 days, 13 to 19, 20 days, and 20 plus years is 25 vacation days. Again, they'll get the holidays the same as all the other contracts over the Christmas break from Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. It's only a couple of days. We reduced some of the training hours required for the staff. And the wages for the support staff is $1 in year 1, 60 cents, 70 cents, and 80 cents to conclude the contract. And 9-month employees will have the ability to be paid over 12 months. That was in the previous agreement. Those are the highlights of the PESPA.
And that'll be on there. We did talk to the board about that in executive session tonight too, and she just went over there. So trying to be transparent in our approach. Any comments or questions on anything I've talked about? Okay, we'll move on to Mrs. Feely and the education report.
Right, we have a lot of things in the education report tonight, starting with some athletic travel, Sacred Town Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina in March. They would miss about 3 school days. Maplewood Wrestling to Hickory, Burgettstown, and Grove City, which would be a potential 3 total days, depending on when they have to go for weigh-ins. The Maplewood High School Band has been invited to participate in the Pearl Harbor Memorial Day Parade, or Memorial Parade and Ceremony on December 5th through the 10th in 2026, which they would miss potentially 4 days of school. We will need to do some pretty significant fundraising. I did share information with all of you in the newsletter. About $110,000 is what they need to raise for that. Jamie has a pretty significant, and the Boosters they have a pretty significant fundraising plan. They have to generate those funds in a very short period of time. So we'll be looking for approval from you in order to start that process to gather those funds, if that's something we want to support. But it's what an opportunity for those students if they're able to raise those funds. There's some resources. We have a lot of guest speakers coming in on a variety of topics. We're really, again, looking at bringing in our community resources for our buildings. We have restaurant management, insurance, bookkeeping, taxes. We have some Veterans Day speakers coming into our buildings. We have OVR, the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, coming in. We also have, again this year, the Hayden Hitchcock Memorial Foundation is sponsoring an assembly for all 3 of our high schools, and that's the Attaboy Assembly. It's a rock band with a positive message about caring and caring for one another, and with a very positive, caring message for students. We have Women's Services coming in. We did an approval for Catch My Breath for the high schools. We have an elementary, Meeple Medical Center has a 5th and 6th grade presentation that we want to get approved for students in all 3 elementaries on, it's a vaping prevention program. We're starting to see that at younger and younger ages, so we want to dip down into those elementary grades. We have David Samuel for a planetarium presentation, and we have a forestry presentation at Cambridge Elementary tied to a grant opportunity. Alyssa Reinhardt is doing a survey for staff and students, gathering some information at the high school level on the impact or availability of AP courses or the lack thereof at some of our high school classes. And I know that there's been some questions brought to the board about that recently. So she is in a graduate program, and her topic is on that particular piece. So it actually would give us some good feedback to inform our district as well. So if the board approves of that survey, then we can use that information for our own purposes as well as her study. And then there's been several books that I've done a lot of reading over and research to get on the list. They've been donated through a variety of resources. We have conferences, there's a couple conferences where we want to send staff to, but of course that is all pending the receipt of our federal funds and grant funding to pay for those. We have transportation MOU with Washington County. We have service agreements with Comprehensive Children and Family Services, and these are those typical agreements where if we share children and for information sharing. There's also been a request from our pre-K counts folks that we have students in our buildings. We've adjusted that kindergarten start age. We backed it up to June 30th. We have 6 students that are currently enrolled in pre-K counts that would not be able to stay in that federal program, pre-K counts classroom, also would not be able to start in our kindergarten. So pre-K counts is asking for a 1-year exemption for those 6 particular students, which they're asking the board to waive that agreement for 1 year. When that happened at Conneaut, when they adjusted their age, pre-K counts have done the same thing at Conneaut and asked for that exemption for those students as well.
Basically like a grandfather this first year only for those students that don't have anywhere else to go. So.
We're also asking for approval to move to the Latin Honor System that we can implement for this year. We have not brought the ValSal back because we're waiting to see what the new SIS system brings forward to us to see if we can then bring that back. It would be a start date 4 years from now. But we've got to make that transition to the new SIS system to make sure that we're equipped to do that with the incoming freshmen. So we want to start with the Latin Honor System for the 26 graduates, and then once our new SIS system's here, we'll look at the ValSal for the freshmen, next year's freshmen. Cambridge High School's applying for 2 grants, actually. A $65,000 grant for sustainable systems education, and up to a $500,000 grant for to develop and implement a school project that's from the USDA grant, and actually it's going to the aquaponics lab, both of them, towards the aquaponics lab, which is pretty exciting if they were to get that grant. There's a lot of growth in that aquaponics area, and it would tie to the community and providing some vegetation and growing opportunities with tilapia and some gardens in the community that students would be working on and then giving back into the community. So it's a great opportunity for them. Cambridge Elementary.
Yeah, go ahead.
I say Cambridge Elementary is also looking at a grant, a substantial grant that's tied to forestry and with the REC, I believe it is tied with someone through there, and it would be with the first graders in that particular building. So there's a lot of grant opportunities out there that our teachers are researching and trying to bring funds into our buildings to help support what's happening. A lot of them tied to the science area. There's a lot of STEM grants out there and funds available for students or for teachers to use with students. And you'll see also some acceptance of grants from Northwest REC for Brighter Teacher Grants. Sagertown Elementary had 2 teachers awarded. Tara Caraco got $500 for propagation station, and Jolene Smock got $500 for a makerspace. And I think that is all that I have in my possession today.
That Latin honors recognition system, can you just go over that again quickly?
Sure, so that's what Mrs. Henry presented on last month, where it's the cum laude, summa cum laude, where it recognizes there are 3 different levels of performance. So our top level, you don't have to be valedictorian or salutatorian, but it does recognize 3 different levels of achievement basically. And we will come up with a way at graduation, there's cords or medals that they would be awarded and recognized at graduation if they meet those honor.
So the ValSal will know.
Well, we can't implement ValSal this year, remember, in that presentation, it takes it would be, because you have to start with an incoming group of freshmen, so to do valedictorian and salutatorian, if our SIS system is up and ready, because remember, we're changing our student information system, we would start with the incoming freshmen next year, 26, 27 incoming freshmen. They would start with the course selection and start with those accruing credits their freshman year. So the first year we could do valedictorian and salutatorian would be 2029-30.
Right, so can we have that verbiage in the resolution?
So I want to make
That we are going to,
I wanted to make sure before we put the valedictorian, salutatorian in the resolution that our system was ready for that for the 29-30.
but it would be nice to have it in there that as soon as possible, ValSal will be initiated. That way we don't just drop it and.
Or can we bring it back in December? Can we bring the valedictorian? We can add it tonight if that's okay, Jordan, is it, can we amend that?
I don't know the answer to that, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's fine.
Okay, so how do we want to word it?
Say it would be pursued or something.
Just adding that the implementation of ValSal would occur as soon as possible, depending on
Upon
the
our
IT.
system being able to.
Depending on the IT
You
program.
got it, now, Christine?
You are now.
Say like addendum, ValSal addendums to be determined.
With a,
Yeah.
We'll read it, and we'll have to make a
we'll
motion.
have to make a motion to adjust
We'll have to
that.
make, right, Jordan, we'll make a motion to adjust it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, Mark, we don't have, we're right now in the beginning process of the SIS, this sort of one where we're putting together our timelines for how that's going to work in the transition
Our
there.
first steps meeting is scheduled for November 20th. So that's the first step, November 20th.
With the goal to try to use the new SIS for scheduling this year. That is the
Right.
goal. So we were very clear with them in our first meeting with them that that's what our expectation was. Any other questions for Mrs. Field on any of the educational report? All right, Richard Luke is going to talk a little bit about a few things under the facilities.
So last month, we gave you the updated cost for the Cambridge Springs Elementary project. This month, we've asked Eric and Keith from McClure to come. They have the presentation and they can hand those handouts if anybody wants them. Numbers haven't changed, it's the exact same presentation we had in October. The goal of them being here tonight would just be to field any questions you guys had. We went through it last month and talked through the numbers. So this is your opportunity to ask them any questions about this project and our current building condition, and as we see outside with winter weather, our boilers are running and we are kind of limping that system along to get through this winter and planning for the future. So I'll let Eric.
I think, Eric, one of the big questions from the board in the last couple of months was the condition of our boiler system and what would happen and what would be the plan if, if something goes down, how soon could we be up? What kind of cost would that incur? That's probably one of the biggest questions from the board that they wanted to answer.
So those are all very good questions, and there's a lot of factors at play that could determine that ultimately. I guess I would start by, the information is here as far as the age of the systems. We've outlined all that, and this is really just the same document that we presented this time last year, just the scope that wasn't completed. But essentially, if, say, one of the main boilers were to go down in that building, there's definitely a way that we could come in and help augment that boiler and keep that boiler afloat. We are a boiler chiller company. That's part of what we do. If you were to look at bringing in a temporary boiler, a boiler in a box, if you will, I would estimate that you would probably spend anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 a month to have that. Now, that wouldn't be obviously in May, you pull that out, it'd be gone. but that expenditure would begin on the very first day that you essentially didn't have heat there. You know, that's a worst case scenario, obviously. Running it to fail this year and then replacing in the summertime would most likely be the least or the most cost efficient way to address it. But we know that, you know, obviously the finances are going to dictate it and the condition of the boiler is going to dictate that. So without having any guarantees, I would estimate somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 a month to bring that temporary heating in. The system is unique in fact that it's the only boiler stock that you have left in the district that is of that original cast iron boilers. You know, all the other boilers in all the buildings are now high efficiency condensing boilers, and the design that we have to go back in there would be a high efficiency condensing style boiler. Unfortunately, you can't mix and match. You can't put one high efficiency in and one regular boiler in there because it's a different type of plumbing setup. The piping is all different. All the controls are in there. So there's really no good way to rip that Band-Aid off other than to limp it as long as you can in order to get that most life out of it. Have that system be, you know, I know we estimated here the time frame of that system. I believe that boiler plant is from, well, the one boiler plant is from 2006, but the original ones are significantly older. I believe they're from the 1989 renovation, if I'm correct.
There's three, there's three total boilers.
There is, yep.
One's that all.
There's two in the main room, and then there's a loop boiler
Right.
that basically catches that run on the other side of the building and then shoots it downstream. We would eliminate that third boiler and just put two new ones in that could do the entire campus, or the entire building there. So the document you have in front of you, really, like I said, it didn't change too much on the pricing page, which is page 12. As you can see there, we essentially removed the generator that we replaced just last summer. This board, future boards can decide to do any work, we'll help you with it no matter what. We do want to let you know that, you know, if you look at the pricing that we have here, year-over-year increase is probably around 6 to 8% overall. If we remove some of the scope, we add in the cost escalation over the course of that year. So we want to have full disclosure about that. You know, the costs are not, obviously not going down. When we originally looked at that boiler 6 years ago, obviously when we came up with a cost for that was significantly lower. We've had a lot go on since then, unfortunately, but you know, we're still trying to hold that cost as well as we can for you as well, though. This would be the 6th phase of work we've done in the district. It would essentially be the last building to work in here. So I want to answer any questions you guys have, make sure you're in a position of knowledge for, you know, what we're asking to do. Essentially, we're asking to pick a scope on here, and then we could put a contract for, an amendment forward for the board to vote on.
I'll just start by, everyone in this room probably knows my thoughts on this, and it doesn't matter because I can't vote on any of it anyways at this point, but I'm still gonna say them. I really would encourage the board to do a full in-depth study before taking more steps. The boilers would definitely need done, you know, to keep that building alive. We gotta look at our area utilization. You know, our enrollment is not increasing, so we need to be looking at that very closely before we bite off more. And time is limited for sure. I think, Rich, I think it's probably the third boiler that's the biggest problem maker at this point, right? That runs the separate little loop, but.
It is, but I mean, we also have multiple classrooms that are currently without heat because they, you know, the univent the coils have leaked and we have to shut them off. One of the main boiler loops in the building is leaking into a classroom that we're band-aiding. The domestic water, we've done some repairs to, but we have more leaks there. Everything's showing its age.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, piggybacking on what Eric said, I think that we've put ourselves in a position to get through this school year, this winter, and I feel pretty confident that, I mean, we can't predict a catastrophic failure, but I think we put ourselves in a good position to be able to get through this winter. But we need to make some decisions on what those next steps look like.
I agree with that completely. I'm just saying we need to gather as much information as humanly possible before we, I mean, this is a huge step. Like, we either gotta be all in or we gotta figure out what the alternative solutions are.
Richard, do you have an estimate on what that would look like with some of the repairs that you just mentioned there?
Just the repairs that we know of today, we probably have $12,000 to $15,000 that I would need to do right now if we're not going to do something.
To make it this year or to make it
Well,
through the fall?
we can put temporary heat into those classrooms
Right.
with space heaters and stuff like that, but that's a real Band-Aid solution. That's just buying time.
So are the non-heated and the drips and leakings, are those in classrooms that are actually being used or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're active classrooms.
Okay. Now, there was supposed to be a second study done after the initial facility use that would say what are the options of what we are going to do. I don't think this is something that this present board is going to be able to vote on.
No, we don't have it on there for a vote.
No, this is just for you guys to discuss.
For discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is only for discussion, just like we talked about
Yep.
last two meetings.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we really just wanted, I mean, Eric's goal here was to be able to answer any questions. I know last month we talked about what does a temporary solution look like to get us through this winter. Those are the numbers Eric put together. Again, that's worst case scenario, just for backup planning purposes, but I think we just need to start those discussions about what scope are we looking at? Are we looking at a multi-year approach? Are we looking at just doing mechanicals and not worrying about lighting, flooring? I mean, we just need to start to have those discussions.
But the entire high school is done, right?
Correct.
So, and we're using 40% of the high school, right?
I don't know
From
the
the
percentage that
facility
we're
report,
using.
we were at 40%.
That would be your utilization.
Utilization
per student
report, I'm
per
sorry, yeah.
space, yeah.
So,
But it doesn't necessarily mean that we're only using 40% of the building.
Yeah,
You would need to do,
You walk through that building.
but you are right, the
I would say
utilization
we're
level
probably
is low.
utilizing 80%.
Right.
Yeah, utilization.
Maybe not to
is-
100% capacity, but we are using 80% of the rooms in that building.
Utilization is low. It's slightly lower than every other district around here. Most buildings are in a 50 to 60 range because there are rooms that you could fit 50 kids in, but they're pull-out rooms, they're individual learning rooms that are required by the state, required by IEPs. And so saying that 40% of the building is used is it's a misconception.
but it would be nice to have a report that says it could potentially be a possibility to move the elementary school into the high school and then decide what we're gonna do with the elementary school. I'm not
Yeah,
saying-
so a report
I'm
would
not
look
saying
good,
you
yeah,
close
yeah.
the elementary school.
I mean, my initial questions are, you have one gym, or every kid K through 12 get a gym class? You have, can the cafeteria maintain a K through 12 building? Is everybody
That's
gonna
what
be
the
in?
study's for.
Right.
Well, no, you don't need to study to tell you, we don't have enough cafeteria to handle all 12 grades. We don't have enough bathrooms to handle all 12 grades. We don't have the gymnasium to handle, we can't have elementary mixed with high school kids.
No,
period.
you can't, no.
So, we have one gym in high school, one cafeteria in high school, so I can tell you, you don't need to study to tell you, you need 2 of each, minimum.
Yeah, but there could be other options too.
Well, there may be.
I don't know if they make sense, because like genuinely you would need an expert with it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that's a nice gym at the elementary school. There's a nice little section
We
there.
have a lot of stuff in there.
So I don't know, is part of that worth utilizing, is part of that building worth renting out? I don't know. I think you would really need to look at that. I mean, I think
Well,
you just gotta think outside.
renting out a school with kids in it is a whole nother,
Well, you may have to do some major restructuring on how you would section it off. You might.
there again, though, that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, but if you're able to take the revenue, it could be worth it.
Dave, I agree with you, definitely we need to do a study, look at things, but you wanna rent that building out, you wanna sell it, try doing that with no boiler and all the
That's
pipe
right.
freeze. You can't run any building without a boiler, I'm not saying that we need to do it right this minute, but even if we don't use that building a year from now, if that boiler quits, we gotta still do something, even if there's no kids in there. You can't have a multi-thousand square foot building with water pipes and that, just let it sit.
No, you can't.
Well, we're talking about
Right.
boiler right now, and
Yeah.
it's something we're gonna have to do, whether we use the building or not. You can't shut down the whole system and just leave a building empty and wanna do something with it in the future. Whether it's rent, sell, open it back up, you can't do that. I've ran into
We're not
that.
saying that.
Sure
I,
don't
We're not
sound,
saying
sure don't sound
do-
like
We're
it.
not
That's not
saying
what
don't do the boiler, we're saying don't do it now. If you say you can
But
make
we're
it through
saying-
this, if you can make it to spring.
We gotta,
But
We wouldn't start until the summer, I don't mean to
Correct,
interrupt.
I
We
understand,
wouldn't start
yeah.
till summer.
Correct.
We couldn't do it now, it would
No,
start in
Right.
summer.
if something happens to it, you're gonna do something.
Can you speak to what the timeline would need to be? If we were going to do a project next summer, when would this board need to make a decision?
We would want it to be very similar to the last 5 projects, where we're wrapping up, we've done most of this board in McClurkin, I've done most of the votes in November, December. That would line up well for this project, so we could have pre-project mobilization, get all of our subs ready to go, get all the pre-project planning, allow Keith another full 4 or 5 months to have everything ready to go, start the project just as we've done the last ones, and then we're rolling right through it.
So that's the ideal. What's the absolute?
well,
It depends on
or
the-
something in the summer.
Depends on the scope.
Well, if we go with the boiler
That's what
and the
I'm- yeah.
HVAC system, and we just strictly go with that,
Right.
that gives him time to get everything scheduled,
Yeah.
and then we can
But-
revisit, do the study, get more information like Mr. Valesky said, which I agree with him on that. But we can't sit here and say we're just moving the school, we're gonna do that. We need to study.
I would say we would probably realistically want to know at least by the middle part of January,
Okay.
what direction you're going.
Now, is that
I mean,
just
that-
for the boiler, like if the boiler you would need to?
Whatever
do,
you
or
would
the
decide to
whole-
do, that's when I would want to know. Whatever the scope is that this board would pick, we would want to know then so we could start planning. Because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on when these projects go on. I know Keith has spent years here on campus. There's a lot of other people involved as well. Construction managers, project managers, site superintendents, equipment, engineering, all those things have to come after that. And we want to leave ourselves enough time so it's a successful project, whatever it is. We tried to make these all la carte as possible on here so you can pick and choose. And that was a direction of the board from the last time we
Right.
met. So,
I appreciate
we want you guys to make educated decisions. I will note that there's a lot of stuff in that elementary from 1958. I mean, 1958 is a long time ago. There's also a lot of stuff from 1989, which is a long time ago as well. I will say that you got a lot of dollars squeezed out of those pieces of equipment. And it wasn't like that building is unique in that, the high school is very similar. Maplewood was very similar, here was very similar. So, it's just a renewal of these buildings, and you do have to do that over time if you're gonna keep them. If you're gonna keep kids in them and you're gonna invest in them, then that's really what you have to do. And this is the time that it's come for that building essentially, with the degradation of systems that Mr. Luke is talking about, as well as just what we've known over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years of being in the building, so.
We need to do something this, as soon as possible. This is winter coming up. Space heaters are not gonna protect pipes.
No.
You have a broken pipe, you have a disruption of the learning environment. There are still, it may be the lowest populated school, but there are still hundreds of kids in there. And their learning will be disrupted because 9 people can't come to a consensus. That is unfair to them. There are hundreds of kids at their primary learning levels. I do not want to disrupt 10 minutes of their learning, let alone hours or days. Space heaters are not going to protect pipes.
But we're still talking about passing it now for being replaced in the summer, right?
Yeah.
In the next
So
month or
if you want to
two,
do something
yes.
right now,
Because we have to.
it's not an option.
But we can get things moving for summer
Or
work.
we can pay $15,000 a month.
That's an estimation, and that's for a boiler. You could bring in air handling units and put them at the end of each hallway, and I don't know what that would cost. So we've had situations like that before where, say we started a month early, and all of a sudden you have a cold snap. Well, what are we gonna do? We have the boilers already ripped out. We've brought in air handlers and piped them into the building, so you're putting air in the hallways and then fanning it into the classrooms. There's all kinds of solutions we can help with, yeah.
For now.
For now, you do have options.
That's why we're in this situation, because in the last 20, 30 years, the boards did nothing to upkeep these buildings. So that's one of the reasons why we took a couple of years ago the decisions we did, because you can't afford to build a new school, plain and simple.
It's very expensive, almost $400 a square foot nowadays, so.
Oh, that's all?
I have not regretted a single vote that has improved a school. And I don't think in the months and years ahead, I would regret a vote yet that renovates and helps the building. And I don't think this board has regretted any of our decisions regarding renovations. I could be wrong, and I'm sure there's people that disagree, but I would imagine that I'll be in the same position months from now.
I did want to note if any funding comes available in terms of grants. I know we worked with Mr. Dixon to get the hazardous materials grant last time for the high school. That was a big part of some of the previous work we did there, as well as the ESSER's funding. So, you know, you have used alternative funding other than bond sourcing and your fund
We have
balance.
set up a goal with total grant services. We had 3 major goals that we put that at number 1 to see if there's anything that they can find for that. So we are actively pursuing grant funding, because that would be the ideals if we could get some grant funding for us, so.
I would say I can't make any promises on
Yeah, we
grants,
can't make-
though.
I can't make-
Especially without a state budget, I
But
can't
we
promise that.
We are literally pursuing multiple layers of grants.
It may not matter, we may have to show everything after a couple months, so.
All right, I don't want to belabor my time. I appreciate you guys. If you need anything, I'm always available to answer your questions.
Thanks.
Pleasure. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate you guys.
So, thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
The only other thing I have on the agenda tonight, which this is not up for approval, last month we talked about the bleachers at Maplewood High School and the auxiliary gym. Mr. Rhodes has taken a lot of time working with some vendors to put together pricing. We have 3 quotes attached tonight. We're not looking for a vote on that right now. It's about a 12-week process for those if we were to order them, so they're not going to be ready for winter sports season anyway, and without a state budget, we don't feel comfortable asking you guys to make a decision on that. But once the state budget is passed, we would probably come back. Once state budget's passed and we can start our capital planning for next year, hopefully, we would bring that back to you for a motion. So we just wanted to give you those numbers so you had that to digest.
This is the auxiliary gym,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
the main gym.
Correct.
And Sean, in 2 minutes or less, all right?
Yep.
What are we doing this winter? Just let's let the board know how you've made arrangements for this winter for sports.
Sure. So basically what we're doing is we're using the elementary gym, which those bleachers aren't necessarily ideal, but they haven't failed anything yet. Yet being the operative word, so we're using that. I've basically moved everything junior high over there. It's virtually impossible to use just one gym. There's no way to do it. You can't. You'll have kids in gyms till 10 o'clock at night, and that's not ideal. So what we did, we moved everything junior high over there to allow that auxiliary gym basically at this point to be used as a practice facility for your out-of-season sports, just to get everything going. And like you said, I got the 3 quotes. They're all pretty close. Yeah, so that's what we're doing with that. It's not easy, logistical nightmare, I'll tell you that right now. If anybody wants to trade, I'll gladly let you take that over. Because it is a lot to get things around, and you're doing officials, other teams, things like that. Everybody kind of got accustomed to using that high school auxiliary gym. You know, it's got a new scoreboard in it, the gym was redone, with the exception of the bleachers. So that's why we felt it best to keep it on campus. The attendance with the kids, all that stuff, you're not gonna have any of that. The kids don't attend the elementary school, but it's just what we have to do this year to get by for winter and probably in the spring, so.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That was all I had.
Any other questions for Richard? All right. Financial report, Kristen.
We've already touched on the state budget, so hopefully next month we'll have some better news. You'll see on the agenda just our normal treasurer's reports, disbursements for you guys to approve. There's a donation from an anonymous donor from Cambridge Springs High School for boys basketball uniforms, so they're sponsoring those. They wish to remain anonymous. We're looking to purchase some cafeteria equipment. That will come out of Fund 51, not Fund 10, so that's not our general fund. So the state budget right now has no impact on that fund. That money is in there from having CDP for the past couple of years. The cafeteria fund has money in it, so they have the money to purchase this equipment. We're looking at 4 milk coolers. Yes, all 4 broke pretty much at the same time.
Beginning of the school year.
So it's Yeah, not coincidental.
Perfect.
Or it's coincidental, but we're looking to purchase 4 of them. They have a workaround right now using coolers and shifting milk around, and they would appreciate to have new coolers. It would make it a lot easier. So those are on for approval tonight. Again, Fund 51, not Fund 10, so not your general
Does
fund.
everyone understand that? What
Different
Fund 51
silos.
is? Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
What are the milk coolers, like, what are you talking, like, just
So-
for the little,
Yeah, they store more in them than just little milks, but
Okay.
it's basically a refrigerator in your cafeteria.
okay, just.
Yeah,
for
it's a
that.
cooler.
So does the milk, that would come through the nutrition group then, that comes
That's
straight through
correct,
there?
it all comes through there.
I
Yep.
know this would probably not work with the nutrition group, but like having Titusville dairy is like really unique to around here, and that, you know, Townville, a lot of that milk right there goes to Marburg or goes to Turner's, like, you know, those, I just know like those milk places, they give you coolers a lot of the time. They give us coolers all the time to keep product in or something like that. Now, I know that with the nutrition group, that probably would cross a line there, but just, I don't know, local milk, local farms is so important. I just think there could be a kind of a neat opportunity there.
So actually, we own the equipment, they don't, it's their products that we
That
get
is,
from
okay.
Nutrition Inc., but we own that equipment, and we did look into those avenues, and Turner no longer, they don't sponsor the coolers anymore, so.
And
We did have that in the past.
They used to, and some of the
They
milk
used
coolers
to,
that we're
yes.
getting by on were Turner coolers that were donated.
Yeah, I don't know Turner's real well. I know the Marburger family very well, and they've been great.
I don't see why that would hurt them going through them to get the milk, because they reached out to me about local beef.
Did they?
Yeah, so I wouldn't see why they couldn't
Yeah.
reach out for local milk.
Yeah, just a thought. I don't
Yeah,
know.
right, no, yeah, it's great to support all local, and then they, lend us the coolers for their product.
It is Turner.
We do have Turner's milk.
We have Turner's.
Turner's.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which Turner's is all locally
Yes, yep,
too,
Yeah.
so.
yeah, they use Turner's milk. But yes,
And they
very
pro-
good,
and I
we
see
did
they-
try
they-
that out.
I gotta try a contract with Turner's too.
The nutrition.
I've drank.
Yes.
Oh,
That nutrition group contract, is that just PENNCREST, or is that all nutrition group for the Tri-County area?
They have a lot of contracts in this area. There's really only a couple companies that
Evans City.
do that.
So
They're
we
the only
couldn't
one that
ask the
bid on
nutrition
us
group
last
to-
time.
Evans City, so it's just north
That's what I
of
thought.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I had asked Kristen, please reach out and talk to them. I personally reached out, because I actually know someone in the Turner group, and they are not doing that anymore, right now at this time.
Yeah.
I tried, and Kristen tried, so between the two of us. Any other questions for Kristen? Or did you have more, Kristen? You did?
Nope, that's all I have. Not much is new.
Okay, at this point in time, there's no other questions. We will move into the voting part of the meeting. First one we have is citizens' comment, number 3. There's nobody registered for citizens. And he's at the end, I believe, non-agenda item, I believe so. Okay. Number 4, the approval of the minutes. Resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the following minutes, October 14th, 2025, school board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Under the education report, number 5, resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the consent agenda, education items B through N as presented.
No. No, you need to read.
Oh, that's right.
So you need to apply.
B through I.
So we will do B through I. Let me read that, please. Resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors will pursue approve the consent agenda B through I and K through N.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Under letter J, the Latin Honors Recognition System. Do I hear a motion to,
So moved.
to change the wording of that? Okay, can you read that, please?
It's open.
I can't see it. I tried, but I'm sorry, I can't see that. Okay. Resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the implementation of a Latin Honors Recognition System to acknowledge student academic achievements at graduation ceremonies commencing with the class of 2026 graduation ceremony. Upon implementation of the new SIS, the valedictorian and salutatorian will be utilized with the incoming freshman class of that year.
So, do we have to add 2030 to that?
Well, it would be.
Depending on.
Depending on what year we started.
What year we started.
System.
It's
It's just,
Class of that year,
It's the
being the year that
freshman
we
class
started.
of the
that year.
year
Okay.
the SIS
I got it.
system comes in.
Second.
did I hear a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian. Motion, I second.
Any comments or questions? Other than hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
You're telling me.
Is that just to change the wording? We have to
No, we
divide.
have to prove it.
We have to approve it, right.
It's up here.
No, I lost it.
Letter J.
It'll come back up.
You're supposed to be able to do it. Right there.
Yeah, it's letter J.
Okay. Letter J, resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the implementation of a Latin Honors Recognition System to acknowledge student academic achievements at graduation ceremonies commencing with the class of 2026 graduation ceremony. Upon implementation of the new SIS, the valedictorian and salutatorian will be utilized with the incoming freshman class of that year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Number 6, Facilities and Transportation. Resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the listed contracted student transportation drivers at the contracted cost.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Number 7, the financial report. Resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the consent agenda financial items B through E as presented.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
The personnel report, we'll do three separate motions here. The first one, resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the consent agenda personnel items B through I as presented.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
To the personnel report, letter J, resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the presented collective bargaining agreement between the PENNCREST School District and the PENNCREST Education Support Professionals, PSEA/NEA bargaining, beginning July 1st, 2026 and continuing through June 30th, 2030, pending and solicitor review.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Beers? Yes. Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Chauncey?
Yes.
Mrs. Kroll?
Yes.
Pastor Custer?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Saborski?
Yes.
Mr. Valesky?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Under Personnel, letter K, resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the presented Act 93 agreement effective July 1st, 2026, and ending June 30th, 2031, pending the solicitor review.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Number 9, new business. Letter A, resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the America 250 PA School District Resolution.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Number 9, new business. Letter B, resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the PSBA end state budget impasse resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I'm gonna comment on it. I'm actually gonna vote no on this.
Okay.
I think that PSBA misses the target on this. I don't think it's nearly aggressive enough. I think that a letterhead with PENNCREST on it would have a lot more weight to it than PSBA. I think it's ridiculous we don't have a state budget. So it's nothing against that. I think this just purely is not aggressive enough. I think we need to be aggressive and call out Governor Shapiro and the Democrats for wanting to spend $5 billion over our revenue that we take in. I mean, that's the insanity of this all. Sure, getting our school funding is very important, but I mean, the big picture on this is it's just so ridiculous. I think it's just insane, and I also would commend our representatives and legislators that have stood on the line of not spending this $5 billion over. So I think it just misses the mark totally. So, but I think the intent is good to put it on here. But
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion and a second, correct? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
yeah.
Motion carried.
Number 10, announcements. The board met for executive session on November 10th, 2025 for personnel, early bird negotiations, and legal matters. Number 11, the citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Mr. Archaki is here from the Cambridge Springs Borough to talk about the future of Cambridge Springs Elementary School.
Thank you, Mr. Ford, and thank you for this opportunity. Yes, I want to touch base and talk about the future, how I feel, and many of our citizens feel about the elementary school. But I first want to speak to you tonight and how we in Cambridge Springs are investing in our community to encourage new families to move to our town that can increase current student enrollment over time. With the help of the Crawford County Planning Commission and commissioners, the long-awaited demolition of the former Cambridge Springs Health Center, vacant since 2014, is becoming a reality. In this massive 2.5-acre space, 2 blocks from our schools, a new active aging senior center will be built, as the current one downtown has far outgrown its space. Further good news, the Hudson Group, who developed the successful Adams Place in Cochranton, is returning to build a similar 40-unit independent senior living complex on the backside of this property. Why is that an advantage for us in our schools? This will help free up needed housing for sale, because many of our aging seniors having trouble keeping up with their homes want to remain in our town, as is happening in Cochranton. New families will then be able to move in as those seniors come into the new complex. The nonprofit CREATE, along with the Borough of Cambridge Springs, has embarked on an ambitious 5-year, $1.5 million plan to bring a new community recreation park to the backside of our carnival grounds. Already the new playground is open for youths 2 to 11 with fantastic response. In the coming years, you will see a new full-size basketball court, pickleball courts, a new concession stand, an entire walking track around the whole park, and lights for our softball fields. Further, we are working with French Creek Conservancy to enhance recreational opportunities on French Creek. We are working so hard in Cambridge Springs to update our inner downtown core to bring in more businesses. As in the past 2 years, Rod and Debbie Miller added a beautiful new art gallery, floral shop, our 7th restaurant, and a fantastic community green space. The Land Use Committee of the borough continues to enforce residential ordinances to keep our homes free of accumulated outside clutter. To that end, look at the results when you likewise invest in our schools. All you had to do to see the benefit of the recent millions this board approved to finally upgrade Cambridge High School the past 2 years was the live 6 to 7 a.m. How Cool Is Your School Friday from the Erie News Now and the CSHS gym. Do you realize 175 students arrived by 5:45 a.m. and gave inspiring segments showing their Blue Devil pride, so proud of their remodeled school. With such momentum, it was disheartening to hear 2 of our members, Mr. Valesky and Pastor Custard, just last month at the October meeting, instead of finding ways to repair or replace the boiler in the Cambridge Springs Elementary School, your comments last month were bulldoze the building. Your quote, Mr. Valesky. You concurred, Pastor Custard. May I remind you both of your 2023 pledge to the Cambridge Springs Borough Council and now current Mayor Dolores Hale. And I shall read that. Commitment to Cambridge Springs. We, the undersigned candidates for PENNCREST School Board, do solemnly commit our pledge to the Cambridge Springs community that we will preserve and maintain the Cambridge Springs schools, plural, for the students and citizens of this community. We have heard your voices and are responding with this pledge accordingly. Signed, Brian Custard, David Valesky. So this begs the question, and I hate to ask it, but it begs the question because we want this in Cambridge. Did Mr. Valesky and Pastor Custard lie to the voters of Cambridge Springs to get elected, and now just 2 years later betray us by their desire to close or move the students in one of our schools? Moving the students in the elementary school is closing the school. It certainly seems that way, as this boiler repair has been in the works for years. PENNCREST Board, how about a commitment to find creative ways and keep CS Elementary School open, even prorating the needed repairs over several years? Look at the results when you invest in our schools, like you did at Cambridge High, and what is currently happening with the investments in Cambridge Springs. Invest and build up our schools instead of bulldozing or closing them. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I say one thing? I wanted to thank Austin from Mrs. Brown's first grade class, Sagertown Elementary, for this great Veterans Day card that they made, that Austin made for me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Motion adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.